everyone, in this video I'm going to just quickly show you a couple tips and tricks to help you get started out when you're first taking your motorcycle out on the street. As I'm riding here, I'm just going to give you a couple tips that help me. First thing is, you want to get up to the stop sign. You got this busier street up ahead. You really want to understand that from the moment you leave one of these smaller streets out onto a bigger road with more traffic, it's a big commitment, right? So I want you to be ready for that, mentally prepared when you put that turn signal on and get ready to turn out onto the street. So here I go. Check in, making sure there's no traffic, pulling out nice and smooth and slow. Remember to cancel those turn signals. So finding a road with less traffic is really going to benefit you. Today's like a Tuesday, it's about noon. Not too much traffic out here right now. That allows me to go at a little bit slower of a speed. I'm only doing about 30 miles an hour. Find a road with a slower speed limit will help you. Then you're just going to take your time, right? Figure out your lane positioning. Look out for debris up ahead in the road. Adjust your bike's lane position. Figure out where you want to be. Pay attention to your surroundings. Give yourself space cushion all around you in the lane. Make sure you're paying attention to what's coming up, but also paying attention to what's in your mirrors coming behind you. I got a couple cars speeding up on me right now, so I'm going to want to be aware of that. It doesn't take very much. I'm not going crazy. I'm not all over the place. My hands aren't going crazy on the controls. I'm just taking my time. Gonna make a left turn here. So in these turns, you're gonna want to work your way up, especially on a turn like this. It's pretty blind coming from the right side over here. You're gonna want to take your time, wait for all these vehicles to make it through. See if this guy's gonna allow me to go. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate you. So he was real nice, let us in. That was awesome. Remember to cancel that turn signal. So one of the biggest benefits you'll have riding a motorcycle is patience, right? If you're impatient, if you're in a big hurry, you're gonna get cleaned up really quick. If you're patient, if you're courteous to other motorists, then you're gonna have a much better time riding a motorcycle, right? Perfect example was back there at that intersection. That gentleman letting me in. If I'm just patient, wait, eventually someone will let me in. So there's another thing to look out for there. That car was getting ready to pull out. I want to make sure and be on the lookout for those kinds of things. Eventually, when you ride long enough, those types of things become second nature to you, or at least they should if you have the right mental awareness. I'm not sticking to any one lane position, right? You have the inside, the center, and the outside lane position. I'll give you an example of what those look like. Here's the inside. Here's the center. Right? Here's the outside. So those are kind of your three positions you can choose from. Depending on what's going on in the road, I'm going to want to adjust that positioning. So one of the best places to be is in the center, because then you have options. You can make a little adjustment and go to the inside. You can make a little adjustment and go to the outside. So once again, we got a steep hill here. I can squeeze in my clutch a little, downshift to lower gear, use a little bit of brakes, shed some speed. I don't need it on this downhill, but it's available to you. If you slow down ahead of time, then you can speed up through the turns once you're at a comfortable speed and a safe speed. Notice all the slow markings on the road here. Notice those big yellow signs letting you know there's a curve, right? Those are great times to slow down prior to those obstacles. Then once you're clear, sight on everything, then you can speed up after the fact. I'm going to make a left turn again. So I'm going to put that turn signal on. Avoid that pothole, manhole cover I should say. Another tip for you when you get to these intersections here, be mindful of where the actual marks are on the road. Cars trying to make this left-hand turn, that's a big turn. So if you're sticking way out there, they can catch your front end. So stick yourself back here behind the line. Also be aware of these vehicles that are pulling up behind you, like the Jeep here, right? Want to be paying attention to that. Now when I stick out here, don't just go for it. Make sure it's clear before you actually pull all the way out, right? Pay attention to speed limit signs. They're there for a reason. They're going to help reduce your risk when riding a motorcycle, right? Doesn't take much to get up to speed, 35 miles per hour. Then I can just hold that throttle nice and steady. Now I'm cruising, having a good time, right? Paying attention to what's behind me as well as what's up in front of me. Notice how I'm sticking to the center pothole. I can move it over. Always being on the lookout for what's coming up ahead in the road. Notice that car was a little bit over the line. Something to be aware of, right? Got a left turn here, put on my signal. Be aware of these vehicles behind me that are going to pass on the right here. And I'm good to go. Riding a motorcycle out on the street is a full-time job, a full-time mental awareness, situational awareness. You have to be fully 100% dialed in 100% of the time. Otherwise, that 1%, that one little moment you're not fully dialed in and paying attention, you're going to get cleaned up, right? And it could be the one and only time you get. Could be game over for you. So same thing here, this hill is a little bit steep, as you can see. So I'm in about second gear here, just maintaining a nice steady throttle. It'll help me get up this hill. If I feel like the bike's bogging down, like I'm having a lot of trouble getting up it, then I can drop it down to a lower gear. I might have been in third gear there, actually. So same thing here, more practice with these uphills. A little bit of speed to get going, and shift it up to a higher gear. So these are the type of roads that you want to find to start riding on the street. This might even be a little bit advanced for what I would normally suggest. I would normally suggest you find a small neighborhood where you can just loop around the block over and over and then get more comfortable and get more practice. Then you can work your way up to some of these bigger roads. This is a pretty big lap that I've done with some advanced scenarios like that intersection down there, lots of traffic, okay? But once you get to this stage, find these roads 25 miles an hour, minimal traffic, good time of day. You can take your time with it. Notice these areas that don't have the painted lines. You can move yourself over to this outside position. Give yourself more space cushion between you and that vehicle, right? It's a cool golf course here. Sometimes there's this great white swan goose hanging out. You got a stop sign coming up ahead. I can go ahead and squeeze in my clutch. Downshift it all the way to first since I'm going to be stopping. I'm already setting myself up for success ahead of time. Nice smooth brakes. Now I can put my feet down, creep it up the rest of the way. Take a good minute and look. Looks clear. How about the other way? Can't really see around that fence. Let's creep it up a little more. Looks clear. Let's look again. Oh, we got a white van coming, right? Even though he's a good ways away, I could easily pull out 10 times in front of that van. Why bother, right? Take your time. This car too, I got tons of time. I could jump right in there, but my bike could stall out halfway pulling out onto this road. Why put yourself in that situation where you might get hit? So as I'm sitting here, I should also be paying attention to behind me, making sure other vehicles aren't coming up, gonna rear end me while I'm waiting to pull out here, right? Alright, now let's look again. Plenty of time, plenty of space. Go ahead and pull it out. Double check. Always a good idea to check the other direction as well. Make sure there's not a vehicle coming in the lane right towards you. Always be aware of debris on the road. So here, I saw a car coming just for a brief second. There's a little line of them there. So before you pull out onto a street like this, you definitely want to check once, twice, 3 times. It If you notice that little fence there, that kind of brown chain link fence, I can't really see through that thing from where I'm at. The camera might be able to, but my eyes, I can't really see. So I might creep the bike forward just a little more. Notice how I'm not sticking out in the street, but it gives me better line of sight before I make this commitment to pull out. One of your biggest friends on a motorcycle is going to be just slowing it down, taking your time, right? A lot of people get motorcycles and think they have to race around everywhere, and that's just not the case. In fact, if you take your time and ride a little slower, you can actually enjoy the ride, feel good with it. So, some pretty cool streets we have along here. Got a couple of twists and turns up ahead. We want to pay attention to these yellow signs, let us know what kind of curve we got coming. We also want to pay attention to all these little yellow signs letting us know there's this curve here. So we can set up to the outside, get a nice head turn, work our way back towards the inside, then back to the outside. Work that outside, inside, outside strategy, right? So we can shed a little speed there in the beginning, work in towards the apex, then back to the outside. Notice my lane positioning. I know there's some vehicles coming in this oncoming lane, so I want to stay away, especially in this blind crest right here. I definitely want to stick to this outside edge. I don't know what's coming over that hill. It might be halfway in my lane, it might be all the way in my lane. So I want tons of space over there so I have some options. Lane position is really a huge, huge thing when riding a motorcycle. I should have pointed that out, but there's a stop sign there that says, you know, it's one of those stops where unless you're making a right-hand turn, you don't have to stop. Even if the sign says that, when you're on your motorcycle or even in your car, great idea to stop and make sure that the other people coming through that intersection are on the same page, right? Even though the sign says I don't have to stop, the other people might not know that. They might run the red light or stop sign anyway. I might get cleaned up, right? So always a good idea, regardless of what the sign says, to stop, give it a look. Don't just expect everybody else to be riding or driving responsibly on the street. Same thing. Once I get going, I'm up to like third or fourth gear. Check my speed on the speedometer. Speed limit's 35 in here. I can go ahead and set my hand at cruise control. Maintain about that speed. Now I'm just cruising along having a good time. I'm aware that there's a car behind me. I'm aware there's this van in front of me. I'm also aware of all the crap on the road. Big potholes, patches, stuff like that. So I'm going to keep adjusting my lane position, being on the lookout for all that kind of stuff. Noticing that this van is sitting here getting ready to turn. Little turn signal's a little hard to see there. Same color as the brake light, right? But we noticed it. We wanted to be aware of that car behind us as we were slowing down for that van, making sure that they saw us too. Just because I'm slowing down, waiting for that van, doesn't mean the car behind us is paying attention. So they might run right into us. You don't want to get sandwiched between two vehicles. So here, be aware of this intersection. Got lots of moving parts, right? Go ahead and cover my clutch ahead of time. Be prepared in case I need to make some changes right there. Always try and set yourself up for success ahead of time. Don't get caught off guard or surprised. Give this lady a chance to cross over. You can go for it, brother. Alright, looks like our turn. So that's what it's all about when you're riding a motorcycle, is being patient, being courteous to other people. I don't want to be rev bombing that dude and trying to rush him, stuff like that, right? Taking my time, being nice to my fellow human beings out here. We're all a community, we're all in this together, so work together. all this loose gravel in the road right here, something to be aware of. Also, we have this graded and milled surface that we just pulled onto. It'll cause your bike to weave and wander. And also these bumps right here. Notice as I cross this bump, take my time, nice and smooth. Doesn't take much, but if you're in a hurry, if I'm trying to rip around that turn going real fast, that bump might wipe me out, okay? We also want to be aware of this traffic up ahead. Got lots of cars turning left, some getting ready to pull out to turn right. Adjust your lane position, give yourself more space cushion, cover your clutch and controls so that you're ready to use them. Notice where I'm positioned in the lane. Notice how I'm not directly right behind this Honda in front of me. Notice how I'm looking in my mirror, watching for the other cars coming. I want to be positioned over here to this side of the lane. So if this car coming behind me doesn't stop, then I can have a place to go, right? I have an escape route. I have a straight line. My tires are already set up. I could ease my clutch out, give it some throttle, and I could be out of here and not be the cream filling in the Oreo cookie. Being patient, taking your time on your motorcycle is really gonna benefit you. And then you just wanna be smooth like peanut butter, baby. So even as I'm following this line of traffic, I'm not taking anything for granted. I didn't pull across that intersection thinking everything's perfect and fine. I still turned my head and looked both ways and made sure it was clear for my own sake, right? These drivers all might make it through, but right in between, someone might try to shoot that gap, not seeing that there's a small motorcycle hidden in this line of cars, right? Happens all the time. People pull out in front of motorcycles because they don't see them, right? So that's your responsibility to understand that and be prepared and predict and anticipate that's going to happen. The sooner I anticipate and predict other people are going to try and cut me off and kill me, then I'm prepared for it and I'm ready for it. And I'm not going to be caught off guard by it, okay? Notice this road up ahead, big hedgerow. A car can easily pull up and pull out in front of me, so I'm going to move over, definitely paying attention to that. Same thing here, this car's pulling out, crosses the line a little bit. I adjust my lane position to give me more time and space. It's not that complicated, but some motorcycle riders make it really complicated by riding way too fast, by riding all over the place, swerving all around. Stupid people can ride motorcycles too, just not for very long. We have this blind crest up here. Don't want to just charge at this thing willy-nilly. Want to move over, be prepared, cover the clutch. Once we can gain some visual, gain information, then we feel a little more confident we can make adjustments based on that. But if you can't see over a hill or around a turn, don't just keep going hoping for the best. Same thing here. I can't see. Slow it down. Be prepared. Looking. Now it's clear. Now I can speed up, right? If I squeeze in my clutch, I'm going to roll back. If I ease it out in that friction zone, it's going to keep me in this friction zone, keep me from rolling backwards. Move up a little bit so this car can go around me. Paying attention to this intersection. Now I can make my turn. You don't want to stick yourself out in the middle of that intersection and get cleaned up by another vehicle. So take your time, make sure you're watching, looking both ways before you go. Got enough things to pay attention to on a motorcycle, other vehicles, all the conditions of the road, big old tree branches laying in the middle of the road. You got to be ready and paying attention to all that stuff. Other vehicles behind you. A lot going on. Be careful. A couple tips and tricks to start out riding on the road. It's a huge commitment once you get out on these streets. There's a lot of moving parts out here, a lot of vehicles that are going really fast, and a lot of people with short tempers and short patience that don't want you in their way, right? So be prepared for that stuff. Find smaller neighborhood roads to start out on, then you can work your way up to these streets. once you have some of the basics down and a little bit of confidence in your riding. Okay, you don't want to get out here and get into a bad situation where you're in over your head and you don't know how to get out of it. So work your way up to that stuff, right? All right, hopefully this video helped you out. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.